Hey, what's up you guys? I don't usually start a video with an intro to the intro, but this is going to be a very special one. And should you decide to watch the whole thing, you're going to realize that Bittorrent is becoming a very special connector in the cryptocurrency industry. Tron is going to play a very effective and important role to this, and they're going to increasingly be mentioned and connected with things like Solana, Mana, and bigger projects that have monetarily already soared in comparison to where Bittorrent and Tron actually sit. Part of this is perception, part of this is media, part of this is technology, and how everything comes together, because at the end of the day, you or I wouldn't know anything about these projects unless the media brought them to us. Of course, the projects themselves need to be interesting, but the way that the media decides to make people try to, well, basically perceive these things is quite important, and we're at a tipping point. So enjoy the video, it's going to be a great one. What's up you guys? If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate you very, very much. If you're new to the channel, I'd like you to do something. I do provide value here, and I don't want you to miss out on other videos. I also want the channel to continuously do well and improve. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that bell, and I promise you, you could possibly generate some good income with crypto because of my unique insights. It's not investment advice. It's just my opinion. You should, of course, do your own due diligence. Today, we're going to talk about the benefits of Bittorrent. We're going to talk a bit about Tron TRX, and if we have some time after I surprise you with some of these insights, we are going to cover some news as usual. So let's get into it. First of all, everybody always talks about, excuse me, the narrative. So sometimes it's not so important what is said, but it's how it's said and where it's placed. So although this looks like an article that's not springing any good news, Solana, Mana, and Tron, look, they're all mentioned. Tron again is mentioned as a sort of measuring stick, or a compadre if you will. Solana, Mana, Tron price analysis, 23rd of February. So again, not flattering, but the positioning is flattering. What's not flattering? Well, amidst uncertain times, the wider crypto market projected strained patterns of development. The likes of Solana, Mana, and Tron were observed to follow similar patterns of growth over the past week. Solana took a major hit during the market collapse. Then, as you go on in this article, Decentraland and Tron, they're basically saying that Tron is beaten down and has suffered a major blow. And I don't agree with this. As usual, I share my sources, ambcrypto.com. And yes, I'm getting to a point here. And you can check out the article if you like, of course, on your own. Solana, Mana, and Tron. When people start to associate Tron TRX and Bittorrent BTT with other companies, other projects that most of whom are already soaring in price in comparison, of course, to where Tron and Bittorrent are sitting, that's when public perception is about to change. That is when you are on the cusp of something awesome happening, and I'm going to show you more examples of this, and something that I promise you have not heard of as we go on through here and look at a few different things that I think you're going to find pretty exciting. Crypto prices heat up as Tron DAO restructuring takes shape. So remember, the narrative is changing, right? And I mentioned NASDAQ and big brands talking and starting to talk about Tron and Bittorrent. I'm going to get to Bittorrent in a minute, but look here. They're trying to spin this as it's almost like a turnaround story in a sense. This year didn't start out well for most cryptocurrencies, and Tron TRX was no exception. The early 2022 crash sent both large and small cryptos plunging, while investors could not only stand by and watch. Despite that fall, that coin took, experts remained bullish on it, predicting that it would be quick to start rising again. Almost exactly 1 month later, these forecasts are starting to pan out. Tron crypto is rising steadily today, following some big news regarding the crypto's foundation. Social media is excited about the next stage for the coin. And again, this is NASDAQ. So again, the narrative is very, very important, and as you see, the narrative is starting to change. Everything's starting to look different in terms of how Tron is explained, talked about. The perception is starting to turn. This turning point all started, and yes, right after this, I'm going to get into Bittorrent as well, but they're both heavily connected. So once Justin left and went to go be the leader of the pack in Grenada, the perception changed. It was like a tipping point. And all of a sudden, the media is starting to push things in a different direction, to shed things for Tron TRX and Bittorrent in a much more exciting, much more positive light. And this means good times are ahead. So now I'm going to get into Bittorrent and go over some very important insights that I again feel that you're going to find pretty interesting. Tron DAO, this is from a day ago, by the way. It's the 25th of February, 2022, as I record this. This is published from the 24th on You Today. Tron DAO and Bittorrent chain Tron Grand Hackathon takes off with introduction of new community forum. So they're being pushed and talked about together more and more, as I've been saying for years now, right? Recently, Tron DAO and Bittorrent Chain have announced the launch of the Tron Grand Hackathon 2022 and its first ever Tron DAO community forum. Now, first evers are important. Why is that? Again, the narrative is changing. They have their own community, they're looking more cool, and the perception, the spin-off, is that this is going to be, it's not really a spin-off, it's happening, it's a hackathon, but the perception is there's exciting things coming along and it's going to become a more interactive project that also seeks out talent and makes the involvement, the stickiness of others very, very highlighted. Registration for the hackathon opened on February 14th, which was also the day that the whole world was celebrating Valentine's Day. The hackathon was initially created for spreading unity among new entrepreneurs, engineers, and designers who are willing to take part in the development of a Web 3.0 and the blockchain industry. This article is from You Today. So exactly what are they talking about? What did they just say? What was the last thing I talked about and wrote? Well, I didn't write, but I think the same thing as the article wrote and have for a long time. The unity and discovery of people basically in these fields. So they want to act as an ambassador that's going to discover talent, unite people, bring them together, and uplift them. And when the narrative changes to that, let me tell you something. How interesting is it when the psychology of the actual company and the way that they want to project themselves out in the PR world changes completely, and all of a sudden they're associated with a lot of the big players. So another thing that I've believed for a while, the projects were not mature enough. They were not ready to go to the heights that we all feel that we deserve to see. Myself, yourself, and everyone included who is already involved, already invested emotionally, monetarily, and even people that are now just looking with markets crashing and thinking, should I, shouldn't I, where do I want to put my money in? Are these the cryptocurrencies for me? So I believe not only is it a very pivotal point, I believe that it's an ideal time in history for BitTorrent, BTT, and Tron TRX as well, because they are about to go to the ascend. It's sort of like if you have an airplane and it's a beautiful airplane and you haven't really flown it yet. You know, you've kind of just, you've gotten everything in place and you've dotted your I's and crossed your T's and you've fueled up. Well, now you're actually just starting. You're just starting to get the pilots in there. They're strapped in, the passengers are there, and they're starting to taxi to the runway. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a beautiful flight to the moon. As usual, thank you for watching. I hope this finds you healthy, happy, and I will see you on the next video.